What is a narcissist?
They're incredibly good at being chameleons because they don't have this sense of self of their own. They can become whatever it is they need to become in order to manipulate you.
To get what they want out of you.
Yeah, and not just arrogant people. They're snakes.
So it's not necessarily arrogance, it's not necessarily even selfishness. It's constructing a narrative which makes them the king, the boss. Always right. And you're wrong.
You can watch in real time as they shift the narrative. And they will. And they'll shift it in such a subtle and beautiful and brilliant way that you end up going, oh,
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's
I'm
me.
wrong.
Right.
And also, it's probably my fault.
Right. So they shift the blame. They cannot self-introspect. They cannot look in the mirror. They cannot look at any flaws, which makes it incredibly difficult for them to change ever. Hey there, Craig Wilkinson. This is Force for Good, where we talk about how you and I can grow our lives to be a force for good in the world. I'm joined today by Kirsten Alexander, and the topic is a fascinating one and an important one, and can be fairly controversial. It's certainly a topic that a lot of people are talking about now. Kirsten has written books on the topic and is a coach, a life coach on the topic. We're going to talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. Kirsten, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It's a big topic, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people are talking about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. What is a narcissist?
So that's a really important question because so many people just throw it away. Oh, he's a narcissist because he's arrogant, or this person's a narcissist. And it's an incredibly dangerous and incredibly insidious thing. Insidious is a word I use a lot when we talk about narcissism because it's so I'm going to give you a very brief description of what a narcissist really is. And it's something that many people don't really know. When you think of a narcissist, you think of ego. You think of massive ego. Yeah. But the truth is that narcissists have very little of their own ego's state. They don't have a sense of who they are because at the same time, they are struggling with the fact that they are absolutely useless and pointless. And they also believe that they are the best thing on the planet. So within them, at all times, at the same time, there's this conflict, which is why
I'm useless and I'm the greatest.
I'm useless and I'm the greatest.
Yeah.
So their core belief is I'm useless.
Yeah.
But they have to
project,
push this up and change it around, which is why they're incredibly good at being chameleons, which means they're very good at being manipulators, because they don't have this sense of self of their own. They can become whatever it is they need to become in order to manipulate you.
To get what they want out of you.
Yeah. So they're not just arrogant. They're not just arrogant people. They're snakes. They're sharks. They're deeply, deeply manipulative.
Right.
And it's almost instinctual. So the guy who's arrogant, in traffic or hoots at you, he's not a narcissist.
Right.
He might be, but he's not.
And someone who's quite self-absorbed is not necessarily a narcissist. They may be just selfish.
They might just be selfish.
So the narcissist, one of the things would be that they cannot look in the mirror and see any flaw or any fault. Because that wounds them too much. They just deny.
Absolutely. They can't. It annihilates them. They cannot annihilate themselves. This is a self-preservation thing, this need to constantly shift the narrative. And something I've always found really fascinating, it's a skill that is unbelievable. When you're talking to a narcissist and you approach them with something and say, you did this thing wrong, and there is irrefutable proof that they did this thing wrong, you can watch in real time as they shift the narrative. And they will. And they'll shift it in such a subtle and beautiful and brilliant way that you end up going, oh,
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's
I'm
me.
Wrong.
Right.
And also, it's probably my fault.
Right. So they shift the blame. They cannot self-introspect. They cannot look in the mirror. They cannot look at any flaws, which makes it incredibly difficult for them to change ever, because you can only change if you are genuinely able to see something that you need to change. Yeah. But for them, the narrative in their head's constantly shifting to make it look as though they are right and good and the one who's got the moral high ground.
Absolutely.
So how would you identify a narcissist? There must be some kind of checkpoints.
Yeah, look, you've got the diagnostic standards measure, which is what all psychologists use. Most people don't really have access to that. I have a questionnaire in my book. I'll read it out to you. And this is really what I wanted to dive into is how this person makes you feel.
Right.
So it's not about them, it's about what they're doing to
Yes.
you. Because then you need to understand that you are dealing with a narcissist. So
And you know, your book's about narcissistic abuse.
Recovery.
So the recovery, yes. So the abuse is the psychological impact that a narcissist has on you.
Yes.
It may not even be verbal abuse, it may not be physical, but the way it makes you feel is ultimately abusive.
Absolutely.
And it can erode and denigrate your own sense of self.
well, that is that kind of abuse is incredibly powerful because
Because it's not obvious, and it's not obvious. And often you don't know it's happening, do you?
You very often don't know that you are a victim of abuse.
Right.
When you face a narcissist. So I'll read their 10 questions and I'll
Go
read
for
them
it.
out.
Yeah, this is the checklist.
So do you often feel unseen or misunderstood, as if they're reacting to a version of you that doesn't match who you actually are? These are all big ones. When you try to raise an issue or express how you feel, does the conversation leave you exhausted, confused, or blamed for everything? That's what I was talking about, that shift in narrative.
Yeah.
Do they make confident statements about your character that just don't align with how you see yourself? My ex used to always tell me I was competing with him. And it took me a very long time to it didn't make sense to me. And I used to try very hard not to compete with him. But I wasn't in the first place.
It was his narrative and not reality.
He was competing with me.
So can I just interject? They've got a reality in their head which they've constructed.
Yes.
And it doesn't match the actual reality.
Yeah.
And they try and force you to see things in terms of their narrative and not yours.
And they say it confidently. Yeah. And it's really hard to sort of refute somebody who's so confident.
Yeah.
And then after interacting with them, do you second guess your memory or opinions even when you were sure of something? Same thing. That's
They make you doubt yourself.
gaslighting. Do they seem to contradict themselves regularly and then claim that you're the one misremembering or misunderstanding? Gaslighting again. When there's a disagreement, do you feel like they'll argue relentlessly until you give in regardless of the fact?
Wear you down.
They just wear you down. Eventually, you're just like, yeah, okay, you're right. And you walk away completely exhausted and finished.
And doubting yourself.
And doubting yourself. Do they often speak in absolutes? Strong, often negative opinions about people or things without room for nuance. And this is once again, this is what I believe about this person. And that's it. I'm not taking any arguments because it fits their narrative. When they propose ideas, do they present them as undeniably brilliant and leave you feeling as though your hesitation means you're the problem? You find this often in a working environment. I mean, we do know that the majority of CEOs in the world have got psychopathic tendencies. Many of them are narcissists. It's that incredible confidence that gets them where they are. Do they really apologize unless it's a performative apology? So that's an apology that's more about appearances than genuine remorse.
Right.
It's said to tick a box, manipulate perception, or avoid consequences, not to take responsibility. Or is it quickly followed by more blame? And I say it in my book, the apology will sound like, I'm sorry if you feel that way, but you did X, and that's why I did. So I'm negating your feelings, and I'm telling you it's your fault anyway.
Right.
And then the last one is, do you feel you have to edit yourself, walk on eggshells, or hold back in order to avoid conflict or judgment?
Fantastic. That is a great checklist. It really is. And it's really all about them making you feel lousy because they're always right and you're always wrong.
Yeah.
And they have a narrative and a story and they have to be right and they have to be the one. It's a great. So it's not necessarily arrogance. It's not necessarily even selfishness. It's constructing a narrative which makes them the king, the boss, always right, and you're wrong.
They're saving themselves from annihilation.
Right.
And that's why when you confront a narcissist, you're not going to win.
You're not. No, because they'll shift the narrative.
Exactly.
They'll never actually be able to introspect. You mentioned the term gaslighting a lot. Just explain a bit what that means.
So gaslighting is an interesting term. It came from a play back in the 1920s or something, where this man used to turn the gaslights down to get his wife to think that she was going mad, and he would deny that the gas lights were being turned down, and she eventually did go nuts. So that's where the term comes from, and it really is exactly that. It's telling you an untruth or telling you something that they believe, and in such a way that makes you begin to doubt yourself.
Right.
You doubt your very truth, your own truth, because and they'll tell you things about yourself. Like I said with my ex and telling me I compete with him, that you start really questioning your own sanity and your own self.
Yeah.
It's insidious.
It's almost like someone looks at you and thinks, well, this is how I see things, and you don't see it. What's wrong with you? How can you not see things? I like bananas. You don't like bananas? What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
There's no credibility for who you are. There's no understanding of the fact that is you, and you don't like bananas, and that's cool. Yeah.
And they will always make you feel stupid for not liking bananas or believing that the sky is purple.
Right.
It's your fault. You're stupid.
It's your fault. Fascinating. Your book is fantastic. I've read it. What I love about it, it's very concise. A lot of books have a lot of unnecessary fluff in them, and yours really gets to the point. And it's a diagnostic tool, but it's also a recovery tool, to say, well, how do I get out of this? Let me identify it, let me get out of it. A couple of quotes which Kirsten and I loved from the book. One of them it says, narcissistic abuse is not always loud. Sometimes it's a slow erosion, a quiet editing of your thoughts, your desires, your personality. You find yourself questioning, did I really say that? Am I too sensitive? Maybe I am the problem. You bend, you shrink, you abandon parts of yourself just to keep the peace. And over time, that voice inside, your true self, grows faint, buried under people-pleasing, perfectionism, and fear of rocking the boat. But you are never lost, just hidden.
Yeah, absolutely. How can I add to that? I wrote it. But it is incredibly true. And it's that chipping away that is really important. And that's why, and I keep using the word insidious because that's the perfect word for it. When you are abused physically, for example, you break an arm.
Yeah, and it's obvious.
You can see it and you can watch it heal. And that's the cool part about it. And I'm not saying abuse is cool, but hear me out. When you're abused in a way that chips away at your very soul, your very being, you can't see it. No. Nor can you see it healing because it's actually not healing. It's getting worse. You are disappearing. You are unbecoming. Right.
Now, often it's said that narcissists attract empaths and they form an unholy alliance because an empath is someone who's the opposite of a narcissist. Actually, an empath is someone who's able to deeply discern the feelings and the state of mind of another person and feel for them and actually, almost put that person above themselves. And the narcissist is the opposite, incapable of seeing anyone else or feeling what they're feeling, and it's all about themselves. And in a way, it makes a perfect match, doesn't it? But one becomes the enabler and one becomes the abuser, and they're not even aware of it.
Yeah, so narcissists are like sharks. A shark can smell blood in the water from kilometers away. And a narcissist will hone in on an empath in much the same way. They are predators. They're looking for somebody to beef up their need to control, to be perfect, to be amazing. And then the empath comes along and they cannot understand anybody who could not be an empath.
Right.
So they don't see any of that happening in front of their eyes. They see this person as someone possibly that needs help, someone who needs to be saved, someone who needs a lot of love, and they pour everything they have into this person. And this narcissist is just grinning and rubbing his hands together like the perfect villain because he knows, I've got you. I can manipulate you. I can make you fight all my battles for me.
And constantly affirm me and tell me I'm right and please me and tell me my narrative's correct even when it's not.
And what happens then is this empath becomes an enabler, as you said, and the enabling happens where they will protect the narcissist from the world. They will protect the world from the narcissist. They will start making excuses for the narcissist. They will start defending the narcissist because firstly, they believe that this person can be helped because they don't have any understanding of a non-conscience, someone with no conscience at all. They don't have this understanding. They can't see it. and they slowly become eroded and destroyed. And very often you'll find if a narcissist gets rid of someone, it's because they've eroded them to such a point that they're no longer useful.
They discard them. Crazy. Now, that can be very harmful in a family dynamic. If you have a narcissist as a father, for instance, or a mother, and the enabler, and the children are feeling the brunt of the narcissistic father, let's say, because he doesn't see them, he doesn't get them, he has a particular narrative that he's imposing on them, and the mother doesn't help. The mother just defends the father. So the kids grow up also thinking that they're wrong, that they, they're not seen, they're not got. Talk a bit about the children of the child of a narcissistic parent who has an empath enabler.
So that's me. My father's a narcissist. My mother's an enabler. And the damage is quite incredible because this father, as you come into the world, they already have this dynamic. They've been married. They've been together for some time. And she is so used to sort of just doing whatever he says and believing that he's right. And it's simple things, it goes down to the patriarchy as well. She'll always serve him the biggest chop at dinner time or those kind of things. She's constantly serving him. If he has a headache, all the children must be quiet. We must everything revolves around this man, to the extent that then you grow up believing that this man is the one who has all the truth. He's the truth holder. So when he tells you that you're not good enough, you believe him. Sure. Absolutely, you believe him.
And the mother confirms that in many ways. Well, she doesn't deny it.
She doesn't deny it, and that's different. Yeah. So she's trying her best to love her children as she needs to and as she is capable of, because she's capable of love and he is not. She's loving them, but she's also a victim. She's a really beaten down victim. Mm-hmm. So she's trying to survive as well. So some of her actions may seem like abandonment to her children, but she's surviving as well. That really becomes a very difficult thing, and it's something that I sort of coach people through as well, is that how do you love, how do you forgive this enabler? Because she or he was complicit in the narcissist's mass destruction.
She didn't protect you from the lies.
But when you understand that she's also, or he is also a victim,
right?
You begin to forgive.
Sure.
You might not understand, but you begin to forgive.
Right. And that has a devastating impact on kids. I mean, you had a brother who took his own life.
My brother committed suicide, and all my siblings blame my father for it. And I don't even know anymore if this is family law or if it's true. One of the last things my father said to him was, in person, was, you better not mess this one up. So my brother was an absolute genius. He had a hugely high IQ. And what comes with a high IQ is an incredibly curious mind. So lots of interesting things that he was into, a little bit of drugs, and really not understanding what he wants to do in life. And the bottom line is he just devastatingly didn't think he would ever make it in this life. And I 100% put the blame at my father's feet for that.
For making him feel useless, unworthy, because in many ways he didn't meet up to whatever the expectations were.
Yeah, because those expectations were completely
not him,
but also constantly shifting.
Yeah,
I've had many shifting conversations with my father where he'd say to me, "Oh, you can do this, you can do that. That's amazing," and then not long after he'll say, oh, "You can't do that. Well, why would you even think you could do that?"
Right.
So it's that you constantly on sort of eggshells and on defensive and trying so hard.
Yeah.
To be something that is impossible.
One of the greatest human needs we have is to be seen. To be seen. This is who I am. I'm different from you. You like bananas. I don't like bananas. See me. Accept that I don't. And when someone doesn't see you, particularly your father or your mother, it's devastating because you don't know who you are, because they're the ones who help you discover who you are and affirm your identity. So you're not seen and you're not affirmed. So you grow up with a sense of I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I can never make it. And the partner of a narcissist also has that sort of same erosion of their both men and women can be narcissist. Am I right? Yeah.
Yes,
It's not exclusively a male thing.
No.
And it manifests slightly differently, does it?
Not necessarily. I think men and women are slightly different.
Sure.
So there's the difference.
Yeah.
But the manipulation, the lack of self, and that unbelievable need to completely shift the narrative all the time. I have a female narcissist in my life. Well, not so much anymore. I'm getting rid of them all.
Good.
And that's an interesting thing I just want to say is that very often, and you find this with sexual abuse as well, you almost, once you've been a victim, you almost have a target on your back and it says, hey, pick me. I'm ready to be abused. And it makes so many people feel like it's their fault, that they're the reason that they're being picked, but it's not. There's so much beauty and softness in you, and that's why you have been picked.
Right.
And that's something I really, really need to get across quite strongly. I do in my book, but
Yes.
with every single person I speak to, it's not your fault.
No.
Not your fault. But yeah, going back to...
In fact, you became a victim because you were so loving and caring and understanding and empathetic, and you wanted to fix. So those beautiful qualities became something that the narcissistic abuser hones in on and uses against you.
Yeah, totally uses against you. And what's interesting is, so I've got a number of narcissists in my life. So first 25 years, I was under the thumb of my father, narcissist. And I grew up with my mother, the enabler, and I'm like her. I have empathy and all those things, but I knew how to enable. So I was groomed to be a victim of a narcissist
Without knowing it.
And when I met my ex, he could not have been more different from my father at all. They were completely different people, and I thought that I was escaping my father, but actually it was out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Yeah. Another quote from your book, which I found very profound, having grown up under the thumb of a narcissist and for many years, you look back on your life and there's a sense of loss. There's a sense of what could have been. And you put it so beautifully. You say, it's a strange kind of grief, not for something that ended, but for something that never really began. You're not mourning the loss of memories. You're mourning the space where memories should have been. And you go on to say that I've never fully been able to celebrate my wins because I've had to hide my success. I've also never been able to mourn my losses because I've had to minimize my pain. I mean, that's profound. That's what an empath does. An empath in a narcissistic abusive relationship would almost undermine herself. I'm talking in the feminine now because I'm talking about you. You can't shine because it makes the narcissist look less than. Yeah. And when you're in pain, you have to hide it because the narcissist doesn't get it. Talk about that, because that really starts to help us understand the extent of the abuse. You cannot be yourself. You're not seen and allowed to be yourself. Who you are is not affirmed, and you have to hide your pain and minimize your victories. I mean, that is abuse.
Well, you spend a lot of time being confused about who you are. So firstly, you have to kind of unscramble that. So it's very difficult to be in touch with feelings you're not even sure are your own in the first place.
Because they're never seen or validated.
They're not seen or validated. But also, if somebody says to you, oh, you should be feeling happy right now, and you go, well, I'm not. You start really mistrusting your own emotions. So hiding them and minimizing them actually becomes kind of easy. You start to assist in the erosion of yourself because you don't really know who you are, so you don't know what you're feeling. And then the wins, the celebrations, absolutely. You sort of, I write in my book that I became quite furtive.
Sneaky.
I became sneaky. Not a liar, but even now, it takes a lot for me to say, hey, I did a thing. Or I'm feeling sad. I used to be like, oh, last week I was feeling suicidal, but I'm fine now. Really totally just minimizing everything and not telling people what I was going through at the time, only telling them after I'd solved it.
Right.
Because that's what I had to do. Always. I had to always just be okay. And with my ex, if I wasn't okay, he would tell me that I'm bringing him down and
made it about himself.
This is not cool. I'm creating a bad environment for him. So I was never sad around him.
Mm-hmm.
The only time he would actually kind of be okay is if I had flu or something, because he quite liked giving me flu mates. I don't know. Maybe that was
made him feel like the hero, probably.
something like that. But I really want to dive into that, the loss, that grief. Many of us think that when we've been abused, we're grieving ourselves. We're grieving something that happened to us. But it's the grieving of something that didn't happen to us that it really goes deep. And when you start healing, you realize that all those things that didn't happen can still happen. You can step into who you are and leave behind who you are not. The person that they told you were. You can take off that robe and leave it behind, and you can walk in there and you're fresh and you're new. You know, so there's things like the career you didn't have because you didn't think you would be able to do it.
Right.
The loving home that you don't have because you didn't. Home and love are all tied up in compromise and fraught with scariness. So all those things, once you go through this healing process and you realize who you are, you can have those things.
Right.
All those beautiful things can be restored and they can happen in your life. And that's what healing is about.
Fantastic. I totally get that. You know, you look back on your life and you think in those 20s, you know, which are supposed to be such incredibly productive, fun years, you were just surviving. And the vast degree you could have got or this you could have done. And it's not, it's different to regret because it's a sense of, had I known who I was, I would have done that. But I didn't. I was just surviving. And you know, I love, you quote about that, you know, you say, reclaiming your identity isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning piece by piece to who you were before your abuser told you who to be. You are not who they said you were. They may have tried to define you. They may have twisted your confidence into arrogance, your kindness into weakness, your boundaries into selfishness, but they don't get the final word. You do. That's beautiful. And Kirsten, I mean, that's what you do now. You help people to get to that state, to say, you know what, what's gone is gone, you know, but I can step up into who I am now. Talk a bit about this too. You say a lot of people who've experienced narcissistic abuse feel guilty for being duped or ashamed that they didn't see it sooner, or they feel stupid because they think, well, how did I not see that? You know, talk a bit about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can talk that from my experience. I consider myself quite an intelligent person, and I'm very interested in the human mind. So I should be someone who'd be able to recognize these things. And you do. You feel such guilt that somehow you were complicit in this. Somehow you did something that made this person target you. And what you did was you existed.
And what you did also was to be a kind, loving human being.
And that's the thing. The beauty in you was targeted.
What they preyed on.
And that's something you've got to try and remember is that beauty in you, that compassion, that love, that hope, all the things that are so beautiful about you. He or she turned them into weapons against you.
Right.
But they're still there. They're part of you and they're beautiful. And we need to be able to get to a place where we can celebrate those things and also express those things. Now, I'm in a relationship now that is the complete opposite, absolute opposite of this narcissistic space. And every single day, I'm still learning that I can express my love, I can express hope, I can express joy, and it's mirrored.
It's reciprocated.
It's reciprocated and celebrated.
Yeah.
And it's not something I ever experienced before. And it's so beautiful. And I'm learning to love myself every day more because of the person I am now loving.
Fantastic. So what advice would you give someone who's in an abusive relationship? And we're talking about the kind of abuse that's not necessarily physical or sexual, even verbal, you know, but a narcissistic abuse. Firstly, the key is to identify it, isn't it? You know, how is this person making me feel? Am I walking on eggshells? But what's your advice to someone in that situation?
So many people live in this. There's this thing called intermittent reinforcement, and it's now actually called trauma bonding, where you live for the highs, even when they come after these incredible lows. And you see it, you know, you often see people who've been abused, physically abused, and they say, why won't you leave the person? Because he always brings me flowers afterwards, and he apologizes and says it's the last time. So that's a pattern, and it's a pattern with any kind of abuse, whether it's narcissistic, sexual, physical, whatever. So you need to be honest with yourself. You need to let go of the fantasy. The fantasy is that this person's going to change, and that this is the last time, and that if I love this person enough, they will love me back. None of those things are true. Just totally get rid of that fantasy. A narcissist, an abuser, will not change ever because they can't.
Well, because they can't see the fault. So if you can't see the fault, how can you fix it?
There is nothing wrong with them, according to them. So they will not change. They will never acknowledge anything. So that's the first step. Get rid of the fantasy. The second one is actually quite practical. Write down the patterns. Write down and do a little pros and cons list, but do a nice and nasty list. Every single time this person was nasty to me, and every single time this person was nice to me. When you see it down on paper, you're going to start seeing a pattern emerge. When you look at the questionnaire that I've just written out, just write those things down. Acknowledge the fact that there is a pattern, and acknowledge then. So you've let go of the fantasy, you've seen the pattern, and then honor yourself. Say to yourself, do I want to spend the rest of my life hoping that this person is going to change, or do I want to spend the rest of my life living the life I was born to live? Well, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. But I'm saying that glibly. It's really hard.
No, it's very difficult because it's a pattern that's developed over many, many years. And you talk about how the erosion of your sense of self is very slow. It happens bit by bit, chipping away to the point where you're actually feeling you don't know who you are. There's confusion. You feel you're always wrong. There's a bit of shame involved. There's a bit of guilt. The things you really want to do and live and experience, you're not, because you're subservient to the needs and desires of your narcissistic partner. I mean, these are sure signs, aren't they? I mean, if you say that a narcissist cannot change, and I'm sure there are degrees of narcissism, aren't there? You know, but you know, if someone is a narcissist and they're not going to change, there really is a tough decision to make. You know, do I need to? You say get rid of the fantasy. Maybe I need to get rid of the person as well. You know, I mean,
look, that's always desirable.
Because you don't want to be stuck in a relationship with someone who doesn't see you, doesn't get you, actually doesn't care about you, cares more about themselves than you, tries to bend you to their own narrative. You know, that really is a bit of a deal breaker, isn't it? In terms of you as an individual, one life, you want to live it fully. You're not just giving up because divorce or whatever there is, but you're saying there is really no solution to this. There's no way of, and don't you find too that when a person has been in a narcissistically abusive relationship begins to find her power or his power, the whole dynamic changes. The person rebels against it. They hate it. You know, there's something wrong, and they start, you know, doubling down on their narcissism.
Well, there are many. There are many tools in the narcissist toolbox, and one of them is love bombing. Okay, and that's often how they get you. Oh my gosh, they give you flowers and buy you a new car and tell you you're amazing and all those things, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know. And then once they've hooked you, they start the erosion of self.
It goes back to what it's.
So when a narcissist start to feel you gaining power and sort of retreating a little bit, they'll do everything. They'll start the love bombing. They'll, if you're married to them, they'll say, let's renew our vows. Darling, you know, I love you so much.
Anything to hook you back in there.
Anything to get you back, because you're a great tool for them.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, they'll start telling you how absolutely useless you are and how you never make it without them. And remember that time you did that thing and it was so stupid. Yeah, well, that's going to happen to you. And oh my gosh, you're old now. Nobody's going to want you. And they'll just erode. They'll do everything in their power. It'll become this absolute onslaught. And something that's a really cool little tool to stop this kind of onslaught is the grey rock method. It's where you make yourself as interesting as a grey rock. You don't respond. So if they ask you a question, it's either a yes or no answer, or even a don't say anything. Become incredibly, incredibly boring.
Well, you're showing them that they have no power over you now.
Yeah.
They can't get to you.
Absolutely. Don't give them anything to react to. And you just become really boring. You're just this grey rock. It's not easy, though. None of
Sure,
this
because it goes against who you are.
Absolutely.
But it is a survival thing. It is a mechanism that you need. The other one I think you talk about in your book is self-pity. They can also become very self-pitying.
Oh, yeah.
And they, poor me, they threaten suicide, they threaten all this kind of stuff to try and get you to feel sorry for them again and come back to them. That's another tool in their toolbox, isn't it?
Absolutely, because what did they get you for in the first place? Your empathy. So when they tell you that, oh my gosh, I'm feeling
I can't live without you. Yeah.
so sad and I'm really depressed, and that's why I flirted with that woman. I thought it would give me a little bit of a boost. It's got nothing to do with you, darling. You're gorgeous. It's nonsense. It's just pure.
It's all designed to manipulate and get you to go back to what it was.
Yeah, they want that equilibrium.
Yeah. It is insidious, Kirsten. It really is. And talk a bit more about the long-term effect it has on an individual, on their sense of self, on their sense of worth, on their joy, on their ability to be free in who they are. I mean, because that's really ultimately what it does, doesn't it? It erodes all of that.
So something that I experienced, and a lot of people do as well, is that sense of being other. And I'll explain that. So you never quite feel like you fit in anywhere because you've been told you're not quite good enough. You maybe you're a dancer. Yeah, you're a great dancer, but you'll never be a prima ballerina. You're just not quite good enough. Or you're clever, but you'll never be a straight A student, or whatever it is. And there's always that sense of just not quite being good enough. So you don't ever quite fit in anywhere. And you hold back, which is what we talked about before, where I would hold back who I am because I was told I wasn't good enough. And also, if I did by some reason shine, there'd be trouble to pay. So I didn't want to shine. There's always a sense of otherness. So what that does is it does two things. One is it keeps you away from joy, keeps you away from pursuing things that are really good for you and that will bring you into society as a normal person and as who you are. And the other thing is it forces you to pursue love in a really not great way. You'll find a lot of people are pursuing sexual love because it validates quite quickly. When somebody says, oh, you're really hot, I want to sleep with you, makes you feel good. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. So you'll start seeking that kind of thing. You'll seek love in any possible way that you can. And you also may want to escape. And those escapes can become any kind of addiction.
Eating,
gymming.
Right, yeah, anything
drugs,
in excess.
So anything in excess where you just focus this one thing. So you start behaving in a way that's not actually really,
not really healthy
true to who you are, and it's not healthy. And that erosion of self, and you make choices that are not necessarily yours, and they're not good for you either. So you go down pathways that are not meant for you, and nothing is all that satisfactory. So you almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm going in that direction because this person, my narcissist, has told me that I should go in that direction, and it fails. Therefore, I'm a failure. Their advice wasn't wrong. Right. I'm wrong. So the erosion causes you to make choices that are not yours.
Sure. Very, very. What's the word? Destructive, isn't it? Destroys who you were made to be. You run a workshop called Write the Wild Woman, and you talk about that in your book. Tell us a bit about the wild woman archetype and what that means. So
I created this workshop, Write the Wild Woman into Being, really because. And it really relates to men as well. The voice that we have inside is squashed. And it's not just when you are in a narcissistic relationship. We live in a society that says you need to be quiet. You need to be a good girl. You need to, just don't be loud. Don't do this. You girls don't do that, or boys don't do that, or boys should, or girls should. We're told all these shoulds and don'ts all the time. And so often they go against who we truly are. And in order to find who you are authentically, you need to start finding your voice. So the wild woman archetype is really, it's not about going out and drinking lots of tequila and, dancing on a table. It's about that raw, authentic voice that's inside you. What is she saying? What is he saying?
Who am I really?
What is that whisper inside you? And something that you've never actually said aloud. So I do this workshop to try and get that out. And we first talk about what has been squashed in you. And it's a writing workshop. So I ask a series of questions. People write a whole bunch of things. We share, and we start discussing these things. And I do guided meditation, and we do all these amazing things, and end up just saying, "Wow, this is who I am," and I'm going to use my voice. And this voice is not. It's not a bad voice. It's an authentic voice.
It's who you are.
It's who you are. So it's all about getting to the core of who you are, and unapologetically, because we do apologize in our lives. We apologize for being too fat, too short, too thin, too black, too white, too whatever.
Yeah.
We're constantly apologizing for not being the typical norm. And nobody is the typical.
No. We are all uniques.
We are all
authentic uniques.
And it is about that. It's about authenticity and uniqueness.
Fantastic. Beautiful process. I mean, I highly recommend the book and the process. And, I think discovering who you really are, there are two elements to it. It's being wild and free and alive, but it's doing that with love, isn't it? It's doing that with love. And if we all did this, I mean, if you were the unique gift, which you are now, that God made you to be, and you did that with love, what a blessing to the world. If I am, what a blessing we are to each other. We got these guys in the studio, what a blessing they are, because they are walking in their gift, and they're doing it not selfishly, but, and I think that's the ultimate self-actualization. Hey, when you can be fully alive and fully who you are and do it to the benefit of everybody, not just a narcissist at the expense of yourself.
Absolutely.
You're bringing yourself to the world. There's a beautiful quote that says, "Let the world feel the weight of your presence and let them deal with it."
I love that.
Use
that.
It's a beautiful quote. Let them feel who you are and let them deal with it, unapologetically, not selfishly, not destructively, but for the benefit of all.
And it's honoring yourself. And
it really is.
That's incredibly important, is to honor ourselves.
100%.
We were born for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And we're all beautiful.
So, Kirsten, how can people get the invaluable help you offer and find the book?
So I've got a really cool website address. Email address. It's helpme@thislifething.co.za.
Help me
at thislifething.
Thislifething.co.za.
Yep. So if you need help with life, help at thislifething, just email me, help me at thislifething. My website address is thislifething.co.za.
Thislifething.co.za.
And you can also scroll down on the website, and there's a link where you can buy my book. And it really is. It's a very practical guide, as you said. I share quite a bit about myself, my journey. Not all of it. So if you're curious, email me. So
fantastic.
And I'd love to be able to spend time with people who are seeking their own path.
Yeah. Well, so lovely to see the journey you've been on, and the great guy that you're currently with, and the beautiful relationship you're forming. I think one encouragement to give people is, the more you've been with, the more powerful you are the more of a force for good you can be, because you understand, you get it. You've developed character. Those times in the wilderness have enabled you to be a very resilient, powerful person and have tremendous wisdom to offer other people.
Absolutely. We can use a lot of our wounds for strength. We can
Fantastic.
do that. And in fact, that's why they happen.
Fantastic.
So it's not all a waste, and you don't have to start again. You just have to become who you were.
Fantastic. Well, I can honestly say you are a force for good. Continue to be that.
Thank you.
Just a final word, the most important relationship you have in life is the one you have with yourself. And is it good? Are you happy alone? Are you happy to be with yourself? Do you honor yourself, love yourself, know yourself, care for yourself, nurture yourself? Are you free to be everything God made you to be? And that's really what Kirsten's all about, and really helping to recover from relationships and situations that said you're not good enough and didn't see you and didn't get you. Seeing yourself and getting yourself and being yourself is not selfish. It's the gift you are to the world, the gift you are to yourself and all of those around you. So thank you so much, Kirsten, and great success in your quest to heal the broken.